guys, what's up? I'm ImodernArts here, and this is part 2 of making a full professional intro in Cinema 4D and Adobe After Effects, and this is the portion that's going to be in Adobe After Effects. So, open up Adobe After Effects CS5, and hopefully you have your Cinema 4D intro rendered. So you're going to go to File, Import, Files, and now you're going to find the intro. So, where did I save that? I think it's this one, and you can just click on any of the frames. I think it's either the first one or the last one because it's saved as a PNG, but just click on any of them. And then you're going to drag that into your composition. So now if we drag through this, we got this nice intro going on, but it seems pretty boring, so I'm going to go over some tips to make it a little bit more interesting. So open up Safari, and let's see, let's look up grunge texture, and let's see what we got. I use, on some intros, I like adding a grunge texture just to make it more interesting. This one looks like it's pretty interesting or appealing. I'll put the link for this image in the description if you guys want it. But it doesn't really matter what you call it, just make sure you remember it. So, X that out, and if I can remember this right, I think you're going to go into Finder and find the texture. Let's try dragging it in. Yes, yeah, that worked. Alright, so you got your texture, you imported it into the project, and now let's just drag it under this layer. And to stretch it out, you're going to go into your image. Alright, wrong thing. Go into your grunge image. You're going to click this little down arrow, and then click that transform down arrow. And for scale, you can just bump the scale up. Something that looks like that. And maybe if you want, you might want to, well, you probably should put the opacity way down because it looks like there's too much. And I sometimes like keyframing the opacity. So if you want to maybe have it start at around 25% and maybe 1/3 of the way there, have it go up to maybe 30%, and it keyframes automatically if you didn't know. And now I tend to like, sometimes I use DigiEffects on my scene, but I think it only works on some styles of intros. I don't think it would work very well on this one. But I do think a lens flare would work kind of well. So hopefully you guys have optical flares. It's definitely something you should get. I'd say it's one of the most useful plugins for Adobe After Effects. But anyway, go to Effect and click Video Copilot if you have it, and then Optical Flares. And it's going to be loading. Oops, I didn't undo that. Sorry guys, I forgot you're going to need to add a new layer so it's not on the background layer or the text layer. So how to do that, just going to control click, or right click right here in this little gray box, and do new and then solid. And make sure it's black, and then click OK. And then you're just going to right click on that, blending mode. Just make that screen, so it's just pretty much an overlay over the text and the texture. And if you want, you could have the lens flare, or this layer, which is going to be our lens flare, to be either over everything, or if you want, it could be under the text. But I find sometimes it looks kind of unrealistic if it's under the text, especially if you're using something like camera grime or something, or lens grime. Then it will look really unrealistic if it's under the text. Alright, anyway, you're going to go to Effect, and you're going to click Video Copilot and Optical Flares. and you're gonna get this default kind of shitty optical flare. So let's change that. Let's go to options, and I'll show you some of my custom presets. I call this one the overhead glimmer, but it's just pretty much something you put right there, and I've seen it before in other intros, and I just like the way it looks. So let's change to global color to red, but you guys can just choose your own lens flare. It really doesn't matter. You probably don't even want to choose the same one I'm using, and make that red. And then if you go to the global parameters, can choose. I really like choosing lens texture images. They look cool, so let's try to find one that looks kind of cool. I like using ones I haven't used that often before, so dodgy looks kind of cool. I always use specs. I see that used a lot, and spastic is pretty commonly used too. But smudgy, I used that on the Z Community HD intro. I really like that one. It's like unique. That one's pretty overused. Random grime, that looks okay. Kind of overused. I kind of like the ones that look more like maybe random. Kind of like the dodgy one. It looks kind of random. So let's try that one. Yeah, I like that. As you can see, it has some grime on the screen, and it kind of has a red tint to it. And if you want to make that in the Z Community intro again, or in a lot of lens flares, I have the light flicker, which looks kind of cool, so I'll show you how to do that. It's really easy, but you might not know how to do it, so just go to your optical flares tab, go to flicker, and for the type, I think you want sharp, and actually smooth. And let's just make the speed maybe 21 in the amount, or 25, around 20 for both of them. You can just drag through and just do whatever presets you like. Maybe make the speed a little bit more, the amount a little bit more, so let's see how that looks. So probably a little bit too much around. So just play around with these values. Once you get a nice looking flicker effect that you want. And I'd say drag the random seed up a lot. Makes it more random, so it's not just looks like unrealistic and fake. Let me just go back and change the lens grime, because I'm not really liking that much. Whenever you see something you don't like, it's pretty obvious, but just don't save time and leave it there. You want to, if you see something that you're not liking, make sure you change it. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. But which one you use is just your opinion. And let's click on the this layer right here, and it looks to me kind of like this color correction isn't really matching the background. It looks kind of like fake, like it's not really there. So if we go to maybe some color correction, I'm not very good with color correction, but there's a desaturate thing. Let's see. This might have been a fail because I don't really know which one of these to click, but let's just try one. Let's try color balance. There we go, saturation. So if you make that a little bit less, I think that's going to look a lot better, because this red was a little bit too bright and it didn't really match with the color of the lens flare or anything else. So there we go. It's a little bit better. What else? If you want to add another lens flare, I usually use 1, 2, or 3 lens flares, but more than that, it might not look that good. So let's do right click over there and do new solid. Just make sure the color is black. And just make that the first layer. So we're just going to make another lens flare. So just right click on this, blending mode, and again make it screen. Let's just go to the effect and do optical flares. And then options to edit it. And again, I'll show you some of my custom presets, or in case you guys don't have custom presets, in case you're new with lens flares, I'll show you a nice lens flare that looks kind of good. I like this Sector Golden one, and you can change the global color really easily. It is one where the global color actually works, so maybe a little bit more. That looks pretty nice. We might want to hide a couple of these things, like that big square right there. Maybe the multi-eye. No, let's keep that. This is opinion again. There's not really right or wrong for which one of these things to keep, but it's looking pretty decent. Yeah, let's just leave it like that. And I'm just gonna save this as a preset. How to save a lens flare as a preset. You're gonna go save preset, and make sure it's in your custom presets. So that's where I like to save it at least. And I'm just gonna call this laser because I think it kind of looks like a laser a little bit. And now, as you see, if you go to lens flares, custom presets, now I have yet another one. So I'm just gonna click OK, and let me just select this. And you're going to want to move around it on that. Don't move around like the whole thing. But now you got this kind of cool looking lens flare. And I'll show you how to keyframe it so it kind of fades in and then goes like from the top to the bottom. So go to frame 0 on your timeline. And you're going to want to put it kind of in the top left, like right kind of over here. And let's make the brightness, let's make that maybe 20, and the scale maybe 70, and you're just gonna click those little keyframe buttons, and then just keep it, and then just keyframe the position and center position, and then you can go down to where you want it to finish up, maybe about like 3/4 of the way down, and you can first of all make the brightness, make the scale about 120 or 100, and you can make the brightness 150, 200, and it will automatically keyframe. You don't need to click the button again, and if you do that, it will actually mess it up. And then you can just drag this down, maybe something like that. And now if we go to last keyframe, maybe have it kind of go out like that, go out of the scene. So now if we look at the animation, you got that nice light flickering at the top. You got that kind of laser-looking lens flare that kind of goes down nicely and then fades out. And also, I think we might want to make the starting brightness or like 90, scale more like 90, because then the increase in the keyframes won't be as dramatic. I think that's looking really nice, and yeah, I really like that. So I think that's gonna be the end of our tutorial. I showed you how to make some nice text with good lighting and materials in Cinema 4D and have it come in with a random effector or a step effector rather. Showed you some nice texturing, some nice lens flares, some nice keyframing, and hope you guys liked the tutorial. So please click the like button and. Yeah, guys, please subscribe. Thank you.